Welcome to OSM Fencing Beginner's Epee. I'll be your coach, Orion Still McNeil. This is our first lesson of our 4-part Introduction to Beginner's Epee. These lessons are intended for those of you who've never fenced in this weapon before, or those of you who have fenced epee, happen to be feeling rather rusty and want to get back into it. In this lesson, we will be looking at movement. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to be looking at in this lesson is our on guard and posture. It's really important that we have a stable, strong on guard because this is the foundation from which our skill and technique is going to grow. First thing we want to do is make sure that you are standing with your feet touching from the heels. You want your dominant foot pointing out in front of you with your non-dominant pointing out to the side should form a L, a right angle. Once you're in this position, what I want you to do is take 2 steps forward with your front foot. Should be foot length steps, so your heel is going to land where your toe is. So that's 1, and we're going to take 1 more, and that's 2. Now, this is the appropriate distance for your feet to be apart. It's just outside of your hips. It's about shoulder length distance apart, maybe a little bit more. Once you're in this position, what you want to do is bend your knees. You want to sit down right in the middle. You don't want to be favoring one side over the other. Sit right in the center. Now this is a very stable on guard position for your legs. Next thing you want to do is work on your posture. What you want to do is make sure that your dominant arm, so if you're right-handed, that's your right arm. If you're left-handed, it's your left arm. Make sure your dominant arm is pointing out in front. The forearm should more or less be parallel with the floor. You don't want it rising up, and you don't want it falling. You want it right in the middle, so it's parallel. Make sure that your elbow is not tucked in at your side, let it fly out just a little bit in front. Once you have your dominant arm in front, your non-dominant arm is going to stay out of the way, just like we do in foil. So it's going to be out at the side. You can hold it up, you can hold it down, but do not hold it behind your back, do not bring it in front. The final thing we're going to do is look at our shoulders. You want to make sure that your dominant shoulder is in front of your non-dominant shoulder. You do not want to be presenting both shoulders forward. It's a very broad target. You don't have as much reach. So make sure your dominant shoulder, in this case for me it's my right shoulder, is facing forward. My non-dominant shoulder is up behind it. Now with your head, you want your head facing forward. You don't want it tilting for any reason. Nice and upright. Make sure it's upright from your lower back all the way up. Don't slouch, don't lean. And this is a perfect on-guard position to get started in epee. Once we've got our on-guard and posture down, the next thing we're going to be looking at is movement. Now in this section of the lesson, we're going to be looking at 2 principal forms of movement. The first one is going to be static movement. Now when I say static, I don't mean it in the literal sense. You are actually moving. What I mean is it's more mechanical. It's not a very natural movement. The second one is fluid. And again, what I mean by fluid is something more natural. It has a natural rhythm to it, and by essence, it's a little bit more fluid. It just continues to move. It ebbs and flows. So these are the 2 principal movements we're going to be looking at. Let's get started. Our first static movement is going to be the half step. Now we're going to do a half step forward and we're going to do a half step back. Now when we're doing half steps, this means we're only using 1 foot. So if I'm going to advance forward, it's just the front foot that moves. If I'm going to retreat, it's just the back foot that moves. When you do the half step, it's going to be a short step. Your heel is going to land where your toe is for your front foot. So for the advance, you're going to do heel first, then drop the toe. It's not a very big step, and then you're going to return back to on guard. Again, it's going to be heel and then toe. You'll notice that my back foot is not moving. This is only a half step for advance. That means only the front foot. Now, when we do the exact same thing as a retreat, it's going to be the back foot. You're going to do a half retreat, You'll notice it's the toe, and then you can drop the heel. And again, you'll notice my front foot is not following. So it's only a retreat for my back foot when it's a half step. So again, toe, then heel. Just like that. Our next static movement is going to be the advance. Now this is not going to be a half step. This is going to be a full advance, which means it's going to be your front foot and your back foot. So in your on guard position, it's going to be heel, same distance, landing where your toes used to be. And before you drop your toe, you're going to recover forward with your back foot, an equal distance. And that's a full advance. So again, it's going to be heel, before you drop your toe, bring your back foot forward, and that's your full advance. Now, the exact same thing is true for the retreat. So in your on guard position, you do your step with your back foot first. Before you drop your heel, you're going to recover back with your front foot at the same time, so you're in contact with the floor. And again, back foot, toe first, and then before you drop your heel, your front foot recovers back. So this is our advance and our retreat. Our first fluid movement is going to be the spring. Now, different from our static movements that we've already looked at, this is not actually going to result in us moving forward or backwards, but rather it's all about maintaining a rhythm so we can be more responsive. So if you're in your on guard position, what you're going to be doing is treating your legs all the way down to your toes, kind of like springs. So you're going to be pushing up and down, up and down. You're not jumping, you're just keeping your legs awake. So it's really just here in the legs, the knees, down to your toes, pushing up and down. So this is more of a fluid movement. You're moving up and down, but it's meant to create a rhythm. It allows you to be more alert. So this is the spring. Our second fluid movement is the step in, step out. Now this again is more of a natural rhythm, but it doesn't mean you're constantly advancing or constantly retreating. So in your on guard position, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be in your spring mode, so you're going up and down. You're going to do an advance, you're going to do a retreat. An advance and a retreat. Advance and a retreat. So it's more of a natural feeling, so you can stay more alert. When you see your opponent retreat, you can advance. When they decide to advance against you, you can retreat. So it just keeps you more alert. And this is going to be the step in, step out. Now that we've got our on guard, our posture, and movement all sorted out, what we're going to do is combine all three of those elements together and practice them in our drills. Now, for these drills, they're all going to follow the same sort of setup. It's going to be 3 minutes followed by a 30-second break, followed by another set, 3 minutes, and then move on to the next drill. However, what I would recommend is make sure that you repeat these drills until you feel comfortable with them. Just make sure you do give yourself those cool down moments, those 30 seconds to take a rest. Otherwise, you're going to get very fatigued. Okay, let's look at our drills. That was great, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are well on your way to becoming a strong and stable epist. Now, this lesson did move rather quickly, so do make sure you follow this video up with our Lesson 1 Annex. We'll cover more information that we were not able to include in this video. So pretty important that you have a look at that. And I will see you for Lesson 2.